Hi, good afternoon. It's Gene from maverickstar Observatory. Guys, in this upload, what I wanted to talk about is one of the recent pages that we've put up on the website and just a little bit about the information and the way we gather it. But before we do, as usual, I'm very grateful for those few people, and it is really a few people that help support the observatory and in turn deliver this information for you. So I am always grateful to those people that are supporting it. And it is a bit of a shame that sometimes we have on average 130,000 views on YouTube. We get 7,000 views each week on the website, and I know that people do appreciate the information that we provide. I also understand that not everyone is in a position to be able to afford to support what we do, and I've never tried to bar those people from the information. And I've asked that those that can afford to support it. Those that genuinely can't afford to support it, we understand. So moving on, what have we got? So recently, in the last 5 or 6 weeks, we entered onto the website a new page. It was called Earth's Health at a Glance, as you can see here, and it carries unique information. Some of it you won't get anywhere else, and I just wanted to go through it. So here at the observatory, we understand when people ask the question, how much CO2 is in the atmosphere. Well, we can rely on the government institutions like NASA, NOAA, ESA, the European Space Agency, and all the others to give us that information. But if we want an independent observatory to look at these things, then the only way to answer these questions is by either creating and building the equipment or buying the equipment. And you will know from just recently me looking at neutron detectors, some of this equipment can come in at thousands of pounds. I would say when we're looking at the magnetic North Pole here, the positions in the longitude and latitude, it took 2 years to develop that equipment, the TriMag, and we've got it at our disposal now. If you was to pay a company to produce that same equipment, it would easily be in the tune of probably a couple of £100,000. I'm not kidding, guys. Development of specific bespoke equipment is very expensive. There's not many observatories that monitor muons. We've got the equipment that monitors that, and if we're looking for muons, we're looking for a lot smaller particles than neutrons. So you would expect muon detectors to be in the range of probably 10,000 plus, and we have one of those in Australia right now. We have one here in the UK, and we are hoping to get one out into Brazil at some point. The only way you can answer these questions for a lot of you guys is by having the equipment or the ability in order to build the equipment to do that, and that's what we've got here. So the atmospheric CO2 was a piece of equipment that we purchased. Wasn't particularly dear, but at least it gives us the ability to monitor in parts per million the CO2 in the atmosphere at a specific location. The atmospheric oxygen is the same thing. We built that equipment using the latest state-of-the-art technology, Luminox sensor, and it's very quick the way it reads. We also, if you remember, included a plunge button so that we could integrate the air straight over the sensor very quickly by drawing it in over that plunge bowl, if you remember, that we added on top of the machine. So not only are we using state-of-the-art oxygen sensors, we've also got the ability to flush the sensor immediately with a sample of atmospheric oxygen. Obviously we've got the magnetic North Pole position, which comes from the TriMag system. You try and find another observatory out there with that sort of equipment that gives you accurate information as to the longitude and latitude of the magnetic North Pole. We could recalibrate that very easily to track the South Pole, and we may do that at some later point in time, but the resolution that we track it is at every 3 seconds. That's why at the end of the month we end up with nearly 500,000 readings. It's high resolution. That's why we can go back at any specific time we want and look at whether an anomaly took place, and we can compare it with other things like solar radiation that affect the magnetometer and so on and so forth. We've got an ordinary Geiger counter which we use to take a radiation background count. Again, some of the radiation that's inbound in our atmosphere is background radiation, therefore it's cosmic radiation, and we're able to take a reading of that using that piece of equipment. For the volcanoes that are in eruption, we use other websites for that information. Now we're adding every week the volcanoes in eruption. Why we follow that. It's very simple. We only study the ones that are actually in eruption, because those are the ones really, I think, that we should be looking at. If they're in states of eruption or they have erupted recently, then that is just circumstantial information. What we need to know is the ones that are in eruption and whether them are depleting over the time. And right now, if we go back 2 years, we've seen 1/3 of those volcanoes that was in eruption 2 years ago no longer in eruption today. And the reason why I say that's important is because our planet is in a magnetic reversal, but more to the point, it is overdue 500,000 years, a completed reversal. And when we see volcanoes dropping off, we can ask the question, is this because something is slowing down in the core of our Earth? Well, further studies will enable us to answer that question. We certainly have the equipment in place, and we can certainly monitor that. The largest earthquakes in the last 24 hours comes from USGS. I know some of you guys have discrepancies as to the accuracy and the downgrading of their earthquakes like we've seen in the past, but nevertheless, that's where we get our earthquake information. We do have a page on our website where you can put in the magnitude and the other bits of information that you want to get gathered on specific earthquakes, so you can find out what's going on a magnitude 6. If you want it over the last week, you can find out that information. We get our sunspot numbers and geomagnetic field and X-ray data from our own website, because we've got widgets that are tracking I believe it's Goddard Space Center over at NASA, and they have stereo A, stereo B. There's lots of different filters on our own website which we use from NASA to gather that information, but we can also cross check that with other websites as well, if we want specifics on sunspot numbers. But as you know, from what you can see, they're at 0. They have been for a long time, but that could be because we're in a solar minimum at the moment. Global magnetometers. Now again, this is bespoke to ourselves. This is our own equipment that we have in Hong Kong, Canada, the Gold Coast of Australia, Perth, Australia, Tucson, Arizona, and here in the UK, and we'll give an overall strength of the magnetic field, or the magnetosphere, in microteslas. As you can see there, it's at 50, and that will be reducing because what we've done there is took a mean of all our apparatus around the world, covering main spots of high intensity. We know from the release from NOAA at the beginning of the year what the intensities was in these regions, like in Canada, Russia, where there's that other hotspot, and then down there merging now over Australia. We can take a mean value over those regions and get a number which is, I believe, very accurate. And at the moment we're at 50 microteslas, but that will be depleting because we know one of the regions where we have our own equipment will be monitoring that depletion. If it drops 1 microtesla, you will see instead of 50 microteslas on the overall magnetic field strength, you will see 49 as a result of that, and it will continue to drop as that intensity over Canada that we're monitoring now dissipates. So we've got a lot of information which is quickly available for you to have a look at. You can quickly access it, and it gives you a brief outlook of the Earth's health, so to speak, at a particular quick glance. The other thing is that we archive all this. So week on, week out, you can check what's changing with, the magnetic North Pole position, muons amounts, the atmospheric oxygen, and the atmospheric CO2 parts per million. And the most important thing, I think, here, guys, is that it's been done honestly. We don't have corporations or governments, and I believe if we was to approach a government for a grant, I believe we would get it, simply for the fact that we've got a provable track record of supplying information over a long period of time to people that have an interest, and have an interest in their planet, and science, in itself. And I believe that is things that the government support. We don't have corporate entities sponsoring us, so to speak, with great deals of money. It is mainly left up to you guys out there, the public. That's how we get our funding, and I'd like to keep it going, because I have invested a lot of my time, my own money as well, into all this, and I know that a lot of people appreciate it. I don't believe 7,000 people would come back every week to view the information on this website if they wasn't particularly interested in it. It would just be great if just a few more would help support it, because I'm sure you get bored with me saying it, guys, and I really do. I don't want to be mentioning the fact that we need to be supported, but unfortunately, if I didn't mention the links in the description for 2 weeks, we would not get any support for 2 weeks. I'll just give you, for instance, on this website, on the home page, we have a donate button, and 7,000 people over the last 10 days have just bypassed it completely and ignored it. And we can't keep a public funded observatory going when nobody is publicly funding it. It's as simple as that. And I truly believe that we're in a position right now where we should be seeing more funding, because we are getting closer to some anomalies changing their rate of progression. And in particular, we're talking about the magnetic poles of this Earth reversing, and that's really what our website's all about, in tracking. And to date, I think we've done an amazing job, but we just need to keep it going. As you guys know, around the world right now, there is something that is affecting us all, and it's not the case of whether it's real or not, whether it's really COVID-19 and it is as dangerous as they say, but it's more the case of the policies that are in place that are affecting people as a result. Like you are seeing, shops close, restaurants close, airline businesses going out of business, people not being able to have their freedoms that they enjoyed beforehand, and all this is affecting business and ourselves as it continues to go on. And I've said, looking at the statistics that I have using the algorithms in a program that a friend of mine built, we are nowhere near equilibrium, which means probably we've got another 5 to 6 years of what we are experiencing right now, and we are going to see probably many lockdowns as a result. I wish the government around the world would just accept the fact that it is out the box, it's not containable, and the worst thing to do right now is add more empathy, like I talked in the video yesterday, to this situation, in that you would lose more jobs, more businesses would go bankrupt, and more people would lose their homes. I really wish the governments would understand that the more we add to this issue right now, the worse we make things for everybody. And at what cost are we prepared, to experience in order to keep just a few vulnerable people alive, which are inevitably, in my view, going to die anyhow. It's as simple as that. People die every year of pneumonia. I'm not being insensitive when I say this. I'm just saying that, there is more harm being caused through the policies that governments are implicating to try and keep people safe than they are actually helping people. You cannot destroy your own economic system within a country just because of a virus has got out of control. Because if you allow that, you not only allow the inevitability of the virus, which is going to do what it naturally does in any case, which is spread and increase across its host. You are also at the same time going to damage everything economically. Now, we ask the question, if the government don't see this, then there probably is a reason for them going ahead with what they're doing. That could be to implement changes, reset globally, the debt clock, or other things. But if that is the case, then they will be merging towards a criteria where they then can turn around to the people that they owe money and say, look, we're bankrupt. Thousands of people have lost their business, thousands of people have lost their homes, our country is on its back, we need debt forgiveness. As at that point, COVID-19 would be the perfect cover for that to happen. I've discussed this with very intelligent people in what I like to believe is my little think tank of people. They're all very logic, very intelligent people, they're unique people, and we talk regularly about what is going on around us apart from the magnetic pole reversal. One thing for sure though, guys, is that we are all at a situation where there are many things now affecting us, and none of them seem to be at equilibrium, which means they will get worse constantly. And we like to think here at the observatory that we're keeping you informed on some of the major events that are taking place, and also offer an alternative view to some of these scenarios that we're all experiencing daily. But I cannot emphasize more than enough, it requires more than a few people. It's not just about Doug, Bob, Jen, Kathy, Susan from San Francisco, and Brian and a few others, and a couple of our patrons. It's not just about them. At the end of the day, we have 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, we have 7,000 views on our website, and we have 130,000 views on YouTube. And I'm doing all I can here at my end. I know that you don't like the adverts, but I've put them on there because it can generate a little bit of revenue for the observatory, and every little counts, I'm sure you'll agree. But it does require more than just a few people. You can count on a few of your fingers on your hands. What we really need to do is start seeing, if we can, significant increase in the amounts that people support us with, and the amounts of people that support as well. So I just wanted to go through the Earth Elf at a glance, show you what we've got and how unique and bespoke some of the equipment is that we use here at this observatory, and just to mention the cost of this equipment as well. If you was to try and do it on your own, it would be impossible. I'll just tell you that from straight up. When you're building these muon detectors, you can build one at a time, but you try and buy the supplies in at one at a time. If you can, you pay over the odds, and it becomes very expensive to build one unit. It's like MIT, who designed and built our muon detectors that we built, said that you could build these for $100. You probably can if you're buying the stuff in massive quantity, but I can tell you now it costs us close on $250 each to build, or 250 sterling to build, not $100. So they're not cheap, and if you try and buy them off the shelf, you're going to pay a fortune for them. So we do have some really niche bespoke equipment that we use to gather the information for you guys, and it would just be great if we could get a bit more support. So I know it requires a little bit of effort to fill out the form when you make a donation, but can you imagine the effort I make? Can you imagine the effort our superstars make? It's all about making a little sacrifice, and we can all benefit from it. And with that, we don't bar even the person that can't afford the information. I've been at this for 10 years, guys. I've invested a lot of my time, a lot of my money, and a lot of people have also invested their time and money as well, and it would just be great if it was appreciated a little bit more than what it is. I know it's hard times for a lot of people, and I do sympathise, but at the end of the day, we are close to an event, I think, and feel passionately about, we need to be following. And you know, I'm going to leave it at this, guys. There's a link down there. You can become a patron of ours, or you can come over to the website and you can click on the donate button on the home page and you can put some support in. Simple as that. No more things to say other than I usually do, guys, and that is, you know, you take care of your loved ones, your family, and be safe. And as always, bye for now.